Hello, friends and family. It's been a minute. I wanted to give you a quick roundup of what's going on in Washington, but also two items that I think you did not get enough attention to, but you really want to pay attention to coming out of federal policy that can truly impact our lives and our communities. So, you've probably heard that we narrowly avoided a shutdown fight. And by narrowly avoided, I mean the 11th hour, the Republican Party decided, in the House decided not to shut down the government by working with Democrats to pass a bill. Shutdowns are really, really bad. The federal government is the largest employer one of the largest employers in the country. And so when it stops working, and not just in Washington, but across the entire country. All kinds of things require the federal government to be able to do its job and its functions to just exist. And without them, lots of things happen in ways that we don't even think to imagine, like inspections of food we have, or checking things in the environment, safety checks, having the air traffic controllers work the way they're supposed to, all things that get routed through the federal government and more. So shutdowns are a really, really big deal and go really, really poorly. And despite the fact that history seems to show us that whoever causes the shutdown usually gets all the blame for it, people still seem to line up again and again to try to shut the government down. So the good news is the government did not shut down this time. They passed a 45-day extension with funding levels at current levels with no major changes, except for they passed some money to support the recent natural disasters, both fires. The fires in Hawaii is probably the biggest one that people remember, but also Florida, damage in Florida, some stuff that happened in the Midwest, and flat fires on the West Coast. So some of that money went out the door, and that will hit communities, and we will at least try to make those individuals whole as we can. But the remaining fight to fund the federal government had the can kicked for another 45 days. Now, one of the challenges is that the House doesn't seem to have a path to passing any of its legislation that designed to conference with the Senate and then pass them and get passed and sent to the president's desk. We know that the Senate, coming out of committees, has passed a lot of its bills with unanimous support. However, when they reach the Senate floor, they do not get the fast track way and have to spend more time on the floor to get passed. And we are hoping that those bills will get queued up soon and start moving across the floor at the spending levels that were agreed upon in the debt ceiling deal, which basically said you can keep you can raise just tiny bits of money, and that's it. But most things would stay at the same level, similar levels to they are now, with tiny bumps in a couple places. It would provide some support, but not need support that some of these programs truly need after decades of neglect and with the high levels of inflation that we've seen. So that's fun. Also, fun facts: the House does not have a speaker officially. They currently have a person sitting in that role, and that might change by the time this video goes up. I doubt it. But they're supposed to start taking votes on who the speaker should be. They ousted Kevin McCarthy in a vote of 8 Republicans joined with all the Democrats. Now, joining with all the Democrats is actually a bit of a misnomer. The Democrats had a lot of reasons about why they couldn't trust Speaker McCarthy and why making the deal with him was not advantageous, and why playing the quote unquote adult in the room was not really going to be the way to go. When a man says he saved the government and that from shutting down, and then blames on the Democrats the next day on TV, it makes it hard for that party to want to rescue you. You also didn't ask for their votes in a way that would have garnered getting out of situations like this. And so here we are. We have two different Republicans running. We'll see who can get the votes. Remember, you have to get to 218. That number can only fluctuate based off of some people if they're present. It's supposed to be 218. The number fluctuates based on who's actually president voting in the chamber. There's also a couple open seats because of special elections or retirements. But roughly, you need 218 or pretty close to it. And so we'll see if a Republican can cobble that number together, and then we'll start the process of seeing if bills get passed. So Congress. On the Senate side, we're still in a deadlock over most military promotions by Senator Tuberville, saying that we have to remove all contingencies on allowing service members who are in states that have abortion access restrictions to travel to other states to get the care that they need. Because of that policy, he has blocked almost all of the over 200 nominations and promotions. And then you have another senator who has a hold on almost all of our foreign policy people, including our ambassadors, to say, oh, the Middle East. There's not currently an ambassador to Lebanon, Egypt, or Israel. All countries that are kind of important right now in this current Middle Eastern Senate, and we do not have the highest diplomatic representation. So, Congress doing a great job over there. Not much I can say. It does have real implications because in times of crisis, we don't have the people in place to have the relationships to basically captain the show, and it makes it harder to quarterback things and make sure things move smoothly and cleanly. So we'll see what happens on that end going forward. There might be some new momentum, but I promised there's a pony. And by a pony, I mean there are two things that I think happen in federal policy that I'm really excited about, and I want you to be really excited about too. First of all, for the first time in history, there is an Office of Gun Violence Prevention at the White House. When you add an office at the White House, you have a different level of command and approach to pulling resources across the entire federal government, have one focal person who can direct them and can really dive down and force agencies and braid things together to really make a difference. And we now have the advocates have been calling for this office's creation for a long, long time. And we finally get to see it. What this means for our communities is that we will see a special focus on gun violence prevention in the whole of gun violence. Yes, mass shootings are terrible, but we'll also look at the ways that shootings happen across the entire gun violence spectrum. And we know that a lot of that violence happens within our communities. Now, what to pay attention for out of this office, they will make sure that things that got passed in Washington that are supposed to help with gun violence prevention start showing up sooner with greater accuracy and a greater lift on the data in our communities. We should be watching for regulations that come out of this office, funding opportunities, and even policy guidance that's trying to help federal agencies do a better job of creating conditions that help decrease the amount of violence and violence that is linked to guns in this country. So really good, really important. It is not an attempt to just arrest everyone. It is really an attempt to think about some of the root causes and how do we truly think about getting some guns off the street and remove some hostilities that create violence. Now, the second opportunity that I'm really excited about is the Biden administration announced its first ever climate corps. Now, probably some of you remember AmeriCorps, where volunteers go and work in communities. This climate corps, similar idea. It is a job training program. Its job is to create opportunities and to train over 20,000 individuals in skills that they need to be in the green jobs of the future. So this is really putting that idea that we need a clean energy transition and we don't have the current skills to do that, and saying we will provide the jobs and the skills. They will be good paying jobs, they will be union jobs, they will be supported. They have to go towards per the White House rules and efforts of our programming, there's 40% have to go towards the most marginalized communities and underrepresented communities. So we know that these people are going to be in our communities. And even more importantly, we should tell people in our communities to apply. We should be in these jobs. If you have anyone who has any interest in some of the green jobs and the training programs that they offer, tell them to apply. We want to fill this with people from our communities to make sure that our voices are heard and represented, and that we have the job skills and trainings our communities need to be economically mobile and to raise ourselves up. This is a great opportunity that's out there, and the Climate Corps is an open application that people can apply for and get into these jobs. Now, they're going to be competitive, absolutely, but that does not mean that we shouldn't also take a crack at this. We should flood this place with applications to ensure that our people are represented in the green jobs of the future and the job training that's being offered by the administration. It's one of those great things at times that they can create opportunities, and we should make sure that we are in on the opportunity. But that means that we have to apply. We have to get individuals to see that this is a viable path for themselves and their futures. That's where you all come in. This is how federal policy works. We can create opportunities, but we have to marry those opportunities with the people who can best benefit from them. We can do that. That's what leadership allows us to do. So this is our chance to truly make this Climate Corps thing a piece of our communities and delivering things that our communities need within the context of climate, the context of jobs, the context of economic mobility. It's like a win-win-win. So as you can see, I'm very excited. I think it's a great opportunity. So You can go to the White House's website, look up Climate Corps, it'll take you there, help people to apply, follow what's happening in the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and hopefully Congress will get its act together and fully fund the government. That's all for now.